We now have the rankings for all of the songs and scores in Volume 1, which ones are the favorites of the fandom, and which 5 are going to move on to the best music poll in all of RWBY. In this video, I will go over the results of the poll. I won't be playing any of the music itself because copyright can get a bit tricky with YouTube, but I will link in the description below a link to Spotify so you guys can go and listen to the soundtracks there, as well as to the RWBY Wiki where you can get an idea of each of the songs that are listed. Thank you to the over 1,000 people that participated in this poll. We have a pretty good idea on how all of the songs and scores popularity rank up. All 9 of the songs from Volume 1 did beat out all of the scores, which was kind of expected, but it is nice to see the different soundtracks on how they rank for each episode. But getting into the results, in 10th place we have the score from Episode 8, Players and Pieces, receiving 48 votes. This is definitely one of the more iconic episodes of Volume 1, having Team Juniper and Team RWBY fighting together for the first time, Team Juniper fighting against the Deathstalker, and of course Team RWBY fighting against the Nevermore. And then in 9th place we have the first song, Wings. This is the closing theme to the entirety of Volume 1 and received 77 votes overall. This is just a very nice song, a nice one to conclude the volume. Was included in the Volume 1 soundtrack, and since it is the closing theme, the theme for the credits themselves, I'm not sure how many people are aware of it, but it is the least favorite song of Volume 1, though by no means are there any bad songs of Volume 1. Moving on to our 8th place though, we have another song that people may not be all that familiar with, as was only featured in a single episode. Receiving 108 votes, we have the song Gold. This was featured in The Shining Beacon Part 2, the 3rd episode of Volume 1, where RWBY and Yang are at that sleepover at Beacon Academy before their teams were formed, before they got their actual dorm room, had that encounter with Blake while she was reading the book, and Weiss was there, etc. This was a very cute episode where we first got introduced to the dynamics of all of the team together that would set them up for how they would progress throughout the volume. Definitely a good episode and a good song to go along with it. But moving on to number 7 is one that I'm sure a lot of people are much more familiar with. Receiving 211 votes, we have From Shadow, Blake's theme song that was featured in the Black trailer alongside Blake's introduction. This is one I personally voted for, and I'm kind of surprised that it only ranked number 7, that is the least favorite out of all 4 of the songs that go along with the trailers, the theme songs of the 4 girls of RWBY, so I'm kind of surprised that it ranked here, but it seems that others just prefer the other theme songs and other songs of Volume 1, which does make sense given the choices to pick from. But moving on to our 6th place, with 299 votes, we have Red Like Roses, Part 1. This is RWBY's theme song that was featured in the Red trailer alongside RWBY's introduction, but it also is the only one that had a sequel part, Red Like Roses Part 2, that does rank higher on the list. And I'm kind of happy that Red Like Roses got 6th place, so that both parts of Red Like Roses didn't actually move on to the overall music poll that will be held at a later date. So I'm happy to see that it has a lot of popularity, but also kind of happy at its positioning in this poll overall. Moving on to our 5th place, and the first to qualify for the poll that covers all of the music in RWBY, receiving 354 votes, is Mirror Mirror, Weiss's theme song that was featured alongside her in the White trailer, seemingly sung by Weiss herself, in the RWBY episode at least. And this one is a very impactful one, as Weiss is dancing around the battlefield fighting the Armagigas, as she is also singing in parallel, seemingly in a reverse world, fighting the Armagigas, and in the real world singing this song that is a bit sorrowful. Definitely a lot of impact in this one, and makes sense why it is popular. But more popular than Weiss's theme song is our 4th place, with 450 votes, I Burn, Yang's theme song that was featured alongside her in the Yellow trailer, as she was beating the crap out of Junior, Milsha Malachite, Melanie Malachite, and, you know, wrecking Junior's bar in general, as Yang was the one who barged in there and started demanding things. And yeah, with the action that is alongside that trailer and the theme song that goes alongside Yang, very energetic, definitely makes sense why it is this popular on the list. But moving on to our third place on this list, with a jump in the number of votes that it received, having 601, we have I May Fall. This song was first featured in episode 2 of Volume 1, with The Shining Beacon, when Yang and Ruby are first arriving at Beacon Academy, but I feel that there's a scene that everyone might know it a little bit better from, and this is one from Volume 3. This is the song that played when Velvet Scarlatina first activated her Anissadora and pretty much bodied 2 Atlesian paladins. So when she went completely badass, this was the song that was playing at that time. Definitely a very impactful one, and I can easily see why it is people's favorites. But receiving even more votes than this is our number 2 spot. Receiving 669 votes, we have This Will Be the Day, the opening theme to Volume 1. A song that we hear with every single episode of Volume 1 that plays. This is a very impactful one, and one that I'm sure everyone remembers from getting into RWBY. Having the opening theme play, seeing the animations of Team Ruby and Team Juniper as they're going through that opening, and everything that goes along with that definitely makes sense. But as everyone probably was able to predict, the number 1 song on this list, receiving 771 votes, is Red Like Roses Part 2, also featured in episode 8 of RWBY, Players and Pieces, as Ruby is about to take out the Nevermore. Definitely a very impactful song, especially with the words that are sung in it, the lyrics of the song being a conversation almost between Summer Rose and Ruby Rose. A lot of impact and a lot of emotion is held within these words, and definitely is understandable why it reached this spot. Now, the top 5 songs are going to be moving on to the overall poll that covers all of the music in RWBY, and I definitely see Red Like Roses Part 2 being a contender for making, at the very least, top 10, but also taking one of the top 3, possibly the top spot overall. But there are many more volumes of music to go over. Linked in the description below is the Volume 2 music poll that is currently going on as of the posting of this video. Each week following this, there will be a poll covering the music and scores of each volume, one at a time, and after that point, after we get through Volume 7, then we will have the music poll covering the top 5 songs of each volume, all in one poll, and we will see what music, what songs, and scores come out on top in the entirety of the RWBY series. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these polls, enjoying the content that's coming out, the Phoenix Festival Tournament, the other RWBY content alongside it, and if you are, make sure to subscribe, join the Guild of the Eternal Flame, tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, join our Discord server linked in the description below as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video.